Big update. Young and the Restless Star Traci steals Alan's phone and discovers a terrifying secret. Traci Abbott had always considered herself a bit of a detective. Growing up in the whirlwind of drama that was the Abbott family, she had learned to read people's faces and listen to the unsaid words in their voices. It was a skill that had served her well, both in her career as a journalist and in her personal life, where the boundaries between the two often blurred. But this was something different. She wasn't expecting to find the mystery that had been hiding in plain sight. It all started on a quiet afternoon in Genoa City, when Traci found herself at Alan Wilder's apartment. Alan was a rising star at Newman Enterprises, a business that had long been entwined with her family's legacy. She had known Alan for years, and though they had been friends, they were not close. At least, that's what she had convinced herself of. But today, as Traci entered his sleek, modern apartment for their scheduled meeting, she couldn't shake the uneasy feeling in her gut. Alan had been acting strange for the past few weeks, distracted, distant, and always glancing over his shoulder. She'd chalked it up to work pressure, but something told her there was more to it. Something he was hiding. They had met over a simple cup of coffee, though it quickly became clear that Alan's mind was elsewhere. His fingers tapped nervously on the edge of his cup, his eyes darting back to the phone on the coffee table. Traci noticed it right away. He never let his phone out of his sight. It wasn't just the typical corporate obsession, he seemed genuinely scared of it. "Alan, you've been awfully quiet," Traci said, leaning forward. "Is everything okay?" Alan flashed her a tight smile, but his gaze remained fixed on the phone. "Oh, yeah, everything's fine. Just work stuff." He laughed uneasily. Traci raised an eyebrow. "Work stuff? For the last 3 weeks? It doesn't sound like work stuff, Alan. I'm worried about you." His eyes flickered briefly to hers before quickly looking away. "There's nothing to worry about, Traci. I'm fine." She could see that his nerves were getting the best of him, and she wasn't going to let this go. Alan had always been a good friend to her, but now something felt off. And as much as she hated to admit it, there was a small part of her that felt the old instincts from her investigative days stirring. She needed to know what was going on with Alan, and that meant she needed to get a closer look at that phone. Traci had never considered herself a thief. She believed in honesty and transparency. But when she saw Alan step away to grab another drink from the kitchen, something snapped. Her curiosity had been piqued, and she couldn't resist the urge to find out what he was hiding. He had left his phone on the coffee table, and the temptation was too strong. She glanced around the room quickly, making sure he wasn't coming back. Her hand hesitated above the phone, her breath quickening as she carefully reached for it. The moment her fingers touched the sleek surface of the device, she felt a wave of guilt wash over her. But she pushed it down. She had to know. With a swift motion, Traci unlocked the phone, using the same pin she had once seen Alan enter without thinking, and she was in. The screen lit up with an array of messages, emails, and notifications. At first glance, nothing seemed unusual. There were business emails, text messages from colleagues, and the occasional notification from social media. But then, Traci's gaze fell upon something that made her stomach drop. It was a single message, buried deep within an encrypted chat. The name of the contact read, "The Watcher." Traci's heart pounded as she hesitated, wondering if she should read it. Her eyes narrowed, and she quickly swiped to open the message. It was a simple, chilling sentence. "Your time is running out. You can't hide forever." Her fingers shook as she scrolled up, eager to see more of the conversation. She read through the messages, feeling the air in the room grow thick with tension. The messages were cryptic, yet all seemed to be warnings. Threats, even. "Your family will pay the price for your mistakes, Alan. Don't think you can run from this. Everything you've worked for is about to crumble." The last message was the most chilling. "I'm closer than you think. There's nowhere left to hide." Traci swallowed hard. She had to know more. But just as she was about to scroll through the rest of the messages, she heard footsteps behind her. Panic seized her chest, and she quickly shoved the phone back into its place on the coffee table, hoping Alan hadn't seen what she had just read. Alan entered the room with a casual smile, but Traci could see the tension in his eyes. "Sorry about that," he said, his voice betraying a hint of unease. "Did you find everything you needed?" Traci's mind raced. She was torn between confronting Alan with what she knew and keeping the secret to herself. But the cryptic messages on that phone had sparked something in her. There was more to this than just business stress. Much more. "I think I have enough for now," she said, standing up. "But I have to ask, Alan, is there something you're not telling me? You've been acting strange. Is there someone after you?" Alan's expression faltered for just a second before he masked it with a forced smile. "I'm fine, Traci. You're overthinking it." But Traci wasn't convinced. The fear she had seen in his eyes was real. And whatever secret Alan was hiding, she knew it was far darker than he was letting on. As Traci walked out of the apartment, her mind raced. The messages on that phone were just the tip of the iceberg, and she had a sinking feeling that things were about to get a whole lot worse. She had to dig deeper. Alan's life, and possibly even the lives of those she cared about, were at stake. And Traci knew that once you stumbled upon a secret like this, there was no going back. Let me know if you'd like me to continue with this story.